Hello and welcome to Joy News today. I am Emefa Akosia Adati. The bulletin is live from our studios here in Kokoblemle, Accra, and on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 125. Coming up this afternoon, government revokes all small-scale mining licenses issued after December 7, citing procedural irregularities, more as government constitutes a committee to validate all small-scale mining licenses within 2 months. Also, minority in parliament to hold defense minister to answer questions on overhaul of security chiefs. And also this afternoon, Medina Magistrate Court remands suspect in the Ahmed Swale assassination case. We've got details for you. Well, do stay with us. We've got these, plus business, showbiz and sports. Thank you for choosing us this afternoon. First, government has revoked all small-scale mining licenses issued after December 7, 2024, citing procedural irregularities. This decision follows recommendations from an 18-member committee established by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation to develop a blueprint for reforming the sanitizing of the mining sector. Speaking at a joint media briefing, Minister for Land and Water Resources Emmanuel Kofi-Boah stated that the government has identified irregularities in the issuance of small-scale mining licenses after December 7, 2024. Now, let's go on phone and speak to Darrell Boso from Arocha, Ghana. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Some days ago, I recall that you were up and neck with the government, insisting that there has to be some reforms in the mining sector. You actually even cited the Eastern region as a key point where there should be some changes. Now today, it looks like government is making some progress. What is your call on this particularly, that there should be the revocation of all licenses that were given to maybe companies after 7th December, especially after the elections? What's your reaction to this?
Yes, good afternoon to you, and thank you also. So I think that it's good to hear the Honorable Minister of Lands taking these steps in relation to mining licenses that have been identified to have some irregularities. And I think this should be the approach going forward as well, for not only small-scale mining licenses in forest reserves. I think I am happy to see and also happy to also observe that there is some precedent for us to refer to, because I think that we'll be talking about the way some of the mining licenses were issued, and it's not only small scale but also large scale in some of the forest reserves. So I am happy to see this action from the ministry, and we are going to follow keenly to see how this is applied across board to ensure that people who are mining really have their legitimate licenses to work with.
Well, just yesterday, the minority spokesperson, especially on environment, was saying that the revocation of this particular airline, which you have also been concerned about, that the president will not allow people to mine in forest reserves or forest areas. It's not going to contribute to the fight of illegal mining.
Can you come again? I didn't hear you so well.
So the airline that allows mining in the forest reserves, there's the conversation that is going to be laid in Parliament and that it will be revoked in just a few days. What's your reaction to that as well, especially because the minority believes that it will not contribute to the fight against illegal mining?
Well, I think we don't have a lot of clarity on what exactly government intends to do with the airline. In certain areas, protesters have heard that they want to amend a clause, and I'm also hearing that places that they want to revoke. So, I mean, we have been calling for a revocation of that airline. So I think that we are eager to see what really the Honorable Minister is going to put before Parliament. I think this has to do with the Ministry for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. So we are really looking forward to what the government will do in respect of it. I think so far we don't have sufficient information yet. So let's see how the development unfolds.
But so far, so good for the new government and the fight against illegal mining?
And it's early days. They don't be very quick to say they've done so well. So let's give it some time. I think let's give it some time, then we'll know what to say about it.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Darabos, who speaks for Arocha. Now, meanwhile, the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners in the Ashanti region is threatening a standoff with a group claiming to be an anti-galamsey tax force, extorting money from miners. Some members say they have paid huge sums of money to the group frequenting their sites. Though some arrests have been made by the Office of the Regional Security Coordinator, the miners say other groups continue to exist. Nanaya Ojima has more in the following report.
The Anti-Galamsey Task Force of the Ashanti Regional Security Council recently commenced operations turning attention to forests, water bodies and major roads. But information gathered indicates the presence of another task force targeting registered small-scale miners and threatening to seize their equipment. On 2 occasions, the miners claim their concessions in the Amansia West district were invaded by the fake security operatives. Small-scale miner Kweku Abone explains the cover of the group was later blown, but they escaped arrest.
People come dressed like security operatives and go to mining sites, taking parts of excavators and demand for money. We called to inquire whether the operation was sanctioned, and the regional security coordinator denied knowledge of it. We were asked to arrest them. The people started shooting into our vehicles, injuring one person. That's how they escaped.
Some miners have lost up to 200,000 cedis to the group over threats to seize their excavators. PRO for Nassam, Edujemfi, says they may resort to violence to protect their property.
If you get the message from some of our members from other zones, the next time such incident happens, they will not allow themselves to be taken over. And there could be a possible clash that could create fatalities. We are welcoming any operation by the government. We are not saying that the government shouldn't go about on operations. We welcome that, but what we want is that it must be well organized, it must be well informed, and it must be officially done by the government.
Meanwhile, the Office of the Ashanti Regional Security Coordinator has reviewed steps to deal with the imposters. Captain Retired John Jabari explains some arrests have already been effected and prosecution underway.
With the assistance of the police, almost all the groups that went out, or people who were parading like that, we were able to affect the arrest, so we are able to do that. We are collaborating with the police in this aspect because we are not presently in all the districts at the same time, so most of them will fall on their roadblocks or barriers to assist us in this effort. So, but we have given small-scale miners our hotlines or operational numbers so that they could quickly alert us. If it is us, we'll let them know. If it is not us, we'll tell them who, or we'll let those people get arrested. So it's not a problem. We are trying to handle it over there.
Mr. Jabari wants miners to exercise restraint and support the security operatives in arrest of the corporate.
Away from illegal mining, let's move to the courts now. The Medina Magistrate Court has remanded Daniel Owusu-Koranting, a suspect in the Ahmed Swale assassination case. He has been held on a provisional murder charge. The arrest and arraignment of Daniel Owusu-Koranting, managing director of Aspire Company, marks a major breakthrough in the case that has gone cold for years, raising concerns about security and safety of journalists in Ghana. Ahmed Swale was shot and killed by armed men near his family house in Medina on January 16, 2019, after he collaborated with the BBC on an investigative piece about corruption in African football. Here is legal affairs correspondent Latif Idrisu with updates.
Near his residence here at Medina, 6 years. And today, the first suspect, and preliminary, he's been charged with murder. He's been arraigned here at the Medina Magistrate Court. Daniel Owusu-Koranting is a colleague, an investigative journalist, and a businessman. Today, he's been arraigned at the Medina Magistrate Court, and preliminary, he's been charged with the murder of Ahmed Swale. Today in court, prosecution told the sitting judge, Susie Nyankote, that the suspect, Daniel Owusu-Koranting, has admitted to taking photographs of the deceased, Ahmed Swale, but he has denied selling same photographs to the former member of parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejapon, who later brandished the photographs of Ahmed Swale on his Net2 television and encouraged his supporters to beat up the investigative journalist wherever they find him. But Daniel Koranting has told prosecution that he did not sell Ahmed Swale's photographs to the legislator. The prosecution told the court again that on the night Ahmed Swale was assassinated, call records traced Daniel Owusu-Koranting at the residence or within the neighborhood of Ahmed Swale. And immediately after his assassination, Daniel Owusu-Koranting, according to prosecution, fled the neighborhood to his Amasaman residence. These are the facts as presented by prosecution here at the court. That, according to the lawyer for Daniel Owusu-Koranting, and I'm talking about Kofi Esel, he said these are allegations, and he described those allegations in court as being shambolic and urged the court to grant his client bail. The judge, who I must say was equally surprised at the murder charge leveled against Daniel Owusu-Koranting, questioned the prosecution that
a charge sheet on an offense of murder. First, we're talking about abatement. Today, we sprung up with a surprise charge sheet with one count of murder. And they prayed the court to remand our client with no basis.
you describe it as shambolic charge.
Shambolic charge sheet. I said so in court, because they have nothing on our client. It's just a multitude of suspicions and allegations and hearsays that have been put together, and the law never crystallized any evidence. It is just for someone's career to shoot up, and someone has to go down, and that's what they are doing. It's just mere witch hunting, and we will deal with it in the law courts. We are not media men, we are not journalists. We will deal with it in the law courts. So the investigation is being perpetuity. We started this investigation in 2019. We invited our clients, we said we will come, and we missed out on one day. We come arresting him. We want a remand. I wouldn't want to say more. We don't want to go into details on it. Yes.
You are coming back on
the 1st April.
of April.
So we'll be here.
What do you expect to happen on the 1st of April when you get
The police said they would amend their charge sheet. As I said, it's shambolic. It doesn't hold any water.
Away from the courts, let's do some parliament stories. Now, Minority says it will hold Defense Minister Dr. Amane Boama to answer questions on President John Mahama's decision to appoint new security chiefs. Speaking on News Desk earlier, ranking on Parliament's Defense and Interior Committee, Reverend Johnny Timforjo described the move as backward, costly and far-fetched, warning of potential disruptions to command structure, morale and the financial burden on the state.
So all that investment, and they had up to 6 years to discharge those skills and investment to the state and to Ghana Armed Forces. You have sacrificed all that away. Now you have to pump the same amount of money into training this new, batch of generals that you have appointed. And it will, over the next medium term, you will need to necessarily, take them on this training, pay for them, invest in this training, and that costs millions also.
I wish I had a lot of time to
but the loss here is that, for instance, Air Vice Marshal, who has had a certain number of hours or flight hours to his credit, and has some years more to serve the state, has now been thrown away. That general, who is specialist probably in border control and these are professionals, and if I have to go into the credentials, you'll be amazed the kind of skills. And I'm talking about skills to the stature that even United Nations.
I really wish this conversation would have started quite earlier. We would have covered a lot, because then maybe next time when I meet you, my next question really will be, would you have a different sentiment if it was the previous government that made this change?
I would have had the same criticism.
Anyway,
but again, I'm not.
Rev, my time is up, sadly.
And we have hauled the Minister for Defense to appear before the committee, because this is sensitive. So there are a lot of matters we can't discuss here.
Okay.
But when he appears before Parliament, not even the plenary, but the committee, we have a lot of questions to ask him. And we will also have to now support them to restore morale to the rank and file. But I congratulate the newly appointed security chief, the chief of defense staff, Brigadier General William Japan, and all the security chiefs. We pledge our support. We have to cooperate with them and support them to succeed, because we are talking about the security and stability of our country.
Still in Parliament, Minority Leader Alexander Fenyumakin is accusing government and the Koforidua High Court of colluding to harass Member of Parliament for Akwetia, Ernest Iyalkumi. You remember or you recall that a High Court convicted the MP for contempt after he presented himself to be sworn in despite an injunction against him. Subsequent to this, national security operatives attempted to arrest him in pursuance of the bench warrant issued against him. On Tuesday, Interior Minister Muntaka Mubarak defended the operatives, insisting they followed the law. The minority leader says his side will use all processes available to them to defend their colleague. Now, let's speak to our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kweku Asante. Kweku, well, is the Member of Parliament in Parliament currently as we speak, or even so, has he been attending Parliament proceedings any of the days that has been called?
Well, yesterday when the questions having to do with the Member of Parliament's attempted arrest was raised, he was in the chamber. Today he's not around. At the time the news conference was addressed about an hour ago by the minority leader, he was also not around. But generally, since the news of his conviction became public, he has been attending Parliament. In fact, the day the conviction was announced, he was in Parliament. In subsequent days, he has been around, because as you know, when members of Parliament are in the House, they cannot be arrested for the privileges that they have by virtue of they coming to Parliament or they leaving Parliament to their various homes. And so he has been attending. Today, he has not been around, but generally, he has been coming to Parliament.
Well, so the Interior Minister as well has been talking about how the operatives operated on law, which means that as we speak, anywhere he's found, he can be arrested or what?
Well, that is not something the minister did go into as whether or not they will be pursuing him to arrest him. But as you may know now, the Supreme Court is seized with the matter. In fact, they have granted the application of the Member of Parliament to put on hold the conviction for them to hear whether or not subsequent or decisions must be taken with regards to the actions taken by the Koforidua High Court. So the minister did not give any indication yesterday while he was answering the questions whether or not they will still be pursuing him. The only thing he did say was that at the time, if the arrest was successful, it would have been carried through and they would have detained the Member of Parliament because the court has convicted him for contempt.
Apart from that, what's happening in Parliament?
The Lands Minister has been answering questions on illegal mining, providing updates on the news that broke this morning that they have revoked all mining licenses granted past after December 7th. He's also been clarifying that they will also audit all other contracts or leases, licenses that were granted since the last government took office in 2017 to ensure that they were properly granted. And in fact, he has also announced that his deputy, Yusuf Sulemana, will be leading this committee on this matter. So that is the update from what we are doing in the House today. There's also been questions from the Education Minister, and later we expect to have the Minister for Works and Housing also answer some questions.
Right. Thank you, Kweku, for updates from Parliament. Away from that, some commercial transport operators in Kumasi are asking government to announce an increase in transport fares despite relative drops in prices of fuel. The drivers say increases in cost of spare parts as well as high cost of maintenance are straining their operations. Here is a report by Irabina Akoye.
Joy news checks at terminals in Kumasi indicates the arbitrary fare adjustments are yet to be implemented, as majority of the transport unions anticipate fruitful engagement with the government on the adjustments.
And they are almost here. They will be meeting today. I know the outcome of the meeting will be communicated to us. We have a meeting. If it is decided that we should increase the fares, then we will do. I am a driver, and I can't increase the fares on my own will. But someone in the market will increase their prices when the prices from their own buyers also get to increase.
But many passengers have expressed concern over the potential impact on their finances.
Fuel has been reduced, so they can't increase the accommodation price. They should maintain it because the fuel price is coming down.
Radio news. I read on the news today that there's a 20% increment. That will bring a lot of problems, so the government should do something about it.
Others argue that the fare increase is justified given the significant rise in fuel prices and the need to ensure the sustainability of the transport sector.
It's not only the fuel. Every time they increase papers, lorry tires, everything is now gone up. We don't have any authority to increase any lorry fare, whether you are facing difficulties or you are benefiting.
This year, just recently, we noticed that the insurance, it has been increased, but nobody is talking about it. Even tires, spare parts, it has been increased. But every time you hear people saying, only the fuel, only the fuel.
The government is expected to meet with drivers' unions in the coming days to discuss the proposed fare increase and determine the appropriate course of action. The outcome of these discussions will have a significant impact on the cost of transportation and the overall economic landscape. Reporting for Joy News, Irabina Akoye, Kumasi.
Children Believe, an NGO, is making significant strides in supporting early childhood education in northern Ghana, according to Country Director Esinam Kavi De Souza. The NGO has constructed 30 facilities over the last 5 years to support early childhood education. She spoke at the handing over of a school block in the Kumbungu district of the northern region.
The latest intervention by the Children Believe Ghana was at Pache Primary School in the Kumbungu district, where they handed over a facility for the kindergarten. This was in response to the school's classroom deficit, which caused congestion and left no space for kindergarten children. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, Ms. Esinam Kavi De Souza emphasized the importance of giving children a proper start in education.
Today we are here to commission the last of the 4 ECD centers Children Believe supported its partners to construct this fiscal year. Over the last 5 years, we have constructed and commissioned in partnership with national NGOs we work with 30 of similar facilities in northern Ghana, mainly in northern, Upper East, and the Northeast region. Northern region benefited from 14 of such facilities, whilst Upper East has 7 and the Northeast has 9 of these facilities. Children Believe is committed to investing in early childhood education because we know the importance of starting right. We know that once we get our foundation right, every other effort we put in to the education of our young people later on in their life will yield the needed results.
The head of supervision at the Kumbungu Education Directorate, Imoro Yusuf, assured that they would closely monitor the school facility to ensure the facility is used as intended.
They ask the children to know whether they need something of that nature. The children also affirmative to that. From there, a week they came and sought, the following day they started. So every teacher and child in the school were very, very happy what we listed. We used to sit under trees. Sometimes this used to be class 6 under the tree. Class 5 here, and then behind there, class 4. We used to sit outside. So they came and built the other one 5 years ago. Then this time round, we combine. If we finish, you can go to other classes. We realize that we petition one class.
The head teacher of Pache Junior High School, Yusuf Naporo, thanked Children Believe Ghana and promised to maintain the facility.
All the necessary materials that will help in teaching and learning, inshallah, we'll be able to do it as a directory. And then we are also going to intensify our monitoring to ensure that teachers are on their toes and they deliver as they are supposed to do. Once again, on behalf of the district director, I say a very big thank you to Child Belief and
Ghana's coastline is home to more than 20 historic forts and castles, some standing strong, others crumbling with time. Once controlled by the Portuguese, Dutch and British, these relics of history now belong to Ghanaians. Eric Asante takes you on a journey to Fort Amsterdam in the Central Region, uncovering its rich past.
The song in the background is a 1985 classic by Bessa Simons, titled Komante and Abandi. The rhythm is worth tapping one's foot to, but beyond the rhythm are the lyrics of the song detailing an age-long conflict between the people of Komante and Abandi in the Central Region. The Abandi-Komante conflict is believed to be centered on Fort Amsterdam. Joseph Akafo is a tour guide at the fort.
This is Fort Amsterdam, as you can see. This fort was actually built by the British. It is British first fort which was built in Africa. And it was built in 1631 and named Fort Komantine. But later they had a war with the Dutch. The Dutch defeated them and then took the fort. That is how they changed the name from Komantine to Fort Amsterdam in 1664. Then the Dutch used the fort for slavery. And they don't ship them directly off because the population of the slave here is about 350. So the ship cannot come, load them and go to Elmina again. So it has to pass to Elmina and then they will move the slaves over here on forts to join them at Elmina and ship them direct to America. So that is how they use this fort for slavery.
Fort Amsterdam represents historical treasures and monuments to the memory of the early European contact with the Africans. The walls of the fort, according to Joseph Akafo, were built with a mixture of seashells and palm oil.
Yeah, this fort over here was not built with cement or iron rod. Even all the fort and castles in the kingdom. They use the seashells, palm oil, sand with water. That gives them a mortar to fix every fort and castle we have. Because during those days, there's not any cement factory anywhere in the world. So that is how they used to build the forts.
Economic activities boomed during the construction of the fort. The Abanzi people, according to 96-year-old Teacher Hammond, were believed to be merchants who traded around the fort during its construction. And for convenience, they came to live close to the Aban Nasi, which will later become Abanzi.
Castle was a slow one. Amsterdam Castle, Comensa. No, I brought from our band that food in Cabachas. Now, what has we really now? What way my bus like a credit? English was for bar. Also a ban of sword. You see, I commence ambassador castle. See, Abanzi no wonder how. We see castle now. We free have been see we the power. Castle was mbana na ma what the castle. See what ban one cry now. What about one walk now? I am with you. Some no Obusha where Castrin a Nasi and see one fun a band your fun a band Nasi what no bada no the a regimano see I know most more of buying.
You're watching News Today. We'll be back right after this break with business. Please stay.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the business segment on Join News Today with me, Pius Kojobaka. And looking at our stories, economist Professor Revoked has called on government to forge strong partnership with the private sector to ensure the successful implementation of the 2025 budget policies. According to him, government's ability to achieve its budget objectives hinges on capacity to collaborate effectively with the private sector. Professor Revoked spoke to Joy Business at the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industries dialogue on the 2025 budget. To examine the broader implications of fiscal policies in the 2025 budget on businesses, the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industries has organized its dialogue series to identify the challenges and leverage the opportunities in the economic statement. In his presentation, economist Professor Revoked stressed the need for government to forge a strong partnership with the private sector in closing the wide infrastructure gap.
45% of economic activity is movement. So any economy, any country that does not create the enabling environment for free movement of goods, capital, labor, and the rest of them, that country will not develop. So when we talk about the basics of economic transformation and inclusive productivity growth, we don't have it. People are spending their productive life and hours actually in traffic rather than working. We are not making progress. We need to de-risk that, and we must be intentional about our infrastructure-led economic growth. Without that, we will be here 10 years, and the slides will not change. Approximately 30% of food inflation is as a result of transportation costs. There is no clear policy in this country to preserve farmland. And the threat of urbanization and real estate is pushing farmland further away from where our MAF is in Accra. The gap between where the farmland is and where our MAF is in Accra is widening.
On his part, Chief Executive of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, called for more stringent laws that will encourage retention of export proceeds in the country.
We export $100 of gold, and barely $10 stays in this country for what we do. And that is why cocoa has always been what has stabilized and kept the value of the cedi. Because guess what? With cocoa, because of the cocoa board, a huge amount is retained. Because there's a board that manages and exports and holds the value. So we export gold, we export cocoa, the money is held within this country.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industries, Mark Bedua-Boaji, tells Joy Business the chamber will be engaging its members on how to leverage the various opportunities in the 2025 budget.
Beyond this, we are going to do what we call hand-holding. So for each of the sectors, we are going to identify the opportunities within. We have several sectors within the chamber. So once we're able to do that, we bring them on board and let them know that for this particular sector, these are the opportunities that you have, and then help them to be able to get access to the necessary funding to do that. But beyond that, we were set up to promote and protect commercial and industrial interests. No, budget is just an intention, just a statement. The benefit of it is how we are able to implement it and translate it into a tangible benefit for Ghanaians.
Meanwhile, one of the key partners of the event, Absa Bank PLC, has expressed their commitment to offer cheap and affordable capital for businesses to thrive. Dr. Edward Bochi is the Managing Director of Absa Bank PLC.
How do we support our businesses, or how do we support our customers to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to them? And there are various ways in which we do that. One, obviously, we do provide financing. And if you are looking for financing for your business, I dare say that Absa Bank is the best place to be at.
The Amansia Rural Bank PLC is providing funding support for small, medium enterprises in its operational communities in the Ashanti region. There is more in this report for you.
The Amansia Rural Bank PLC launched the Flexi Cash Flow MSME business loan product to empower growth in the sector. This innovative product aims to address key financial challenges, unlock growth potential, and empower entrepreneurs to upscale their businesses. Chief Executive Officer Frederick Kwachichi says the bank is dedicated to empowering artisans and supporting individuals, businesses, groups, and unions in their efforts to expand and thrive. He stated that the design and implementation of the loan are essential for creating jobs and transforming communities, noting that the interest on the loan is very low compared to other banks. Mr. Frederick Kwachi emphasized the potential of this loan product to grow in the coming years, actively fostering the development of the micro, small and medium enterprises through the Ashanti region and beyond.
Those who are operating their own business in the artisanry, unions and groups, so that they can access this facility and then expand their businesses. As the name implies, they always find it difficult raising collaterals and or meeting other requirements to access credit facility from the bank. But with this design and then its implementation, it's very flexible. All that it requires is that they are able to prove that the cash flow from their business are sustainable. Now,
that's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojobaka. That will be at 1 p.m. with the marketplace.
Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, the Minister of Sports and Recreation. Kofi Adams says that the Black Stars are committed to ensuring that they secure qualification to participate in the next edition of the FIFA World Cup that will be happening in the USA, Canada, and Mexico. After watching their first two training sessions at the Accra Sports Stadium on Monday and Tuesday, he says that he's seen some seriousness from the group and believes that the game against Chad will serve as a platform for them to redeem themselves from their failure to qualify to the African Cup of Nations happening later this year.
Seeing the players that they are motivated themselves. It is not money. If it's about money, many of them already are earning more than whatever it is that we are going to give them. So it is not about the money. What they want are good pitches. A good pitch to be able to play on, and that we are working on. The lighting system appropriate, we are working on. And we're making sure that they have all the technical departments to be able to support the analysis of the opponents and the rest. We have worked on that also. So since that must be done for them to have a good environment to perform, we have put all those things in place. As for money, anyone who thinks that it is money that will make them to perform is deceiving himself or herself. Because it's not about money. Some of them, what they earn in a week, you can't pay them that even for a month. If they ask you to pay that for them for a month, we can't do that. So it's not about money. So money for me is the last thing that I'm considering. But I'm considering the conditions under which they will be playing. The pitch, the lighting, the environment in the dress rooms, and then what have you. These are things that are of concern to me, and of course the technical department of the team, that how reinforced it is, how are they analyzing, what information have they collected on the opponent's players, and to share with the individual players in terms of strategy. So if you are telling a player that this is how I want you to play, the player knows that you are giving him this role because this is what you have assessed of the opponent. And you read to see if there's any variation. You will vary as the match progress. So for me, these are things that we are doing. It's not about money at all.
Across sports, there are concerns surrounding the structure. One of those concerns is the fact that the upper end of the stadium, that is around the Independence Square area, has structural integrity issues. So engineers are currently working at the stadium to ensure that they put it in shape to be able to host the game against Chad on Friday. They spoke to Adum Television.
Yes, the metals that are rusted, we can maintain them and reinforce them, revamp them to become stronger. The chemical we're using, I want to show you. Okay. It's neutral rust, 661 converter. Okay. This chemical has been in existence for 40 years. You can see here, we want to help the National Football Association. This we are doing free for now. Yes, it's absolutely.
You are not charging a penny from the work that you are doing. You are just doing it voluntarily.
Yeah, voluntarily. To make sure the games, this is VIP entrance. We need to put it in order so that when our people are coming, it will not look like a mess. So we saw this and said we are going to come and do it just to maintain it. So this will be here for 10 years, like I said, and you don't need any other maintenance. What you need is to apply the color. It's a primer also. You apply the color that you want, and that will help a lot.
You're starting on a very good note, and people should watch out for, positive changes. But in your time, there's a lot of things that will take time, and it's a process. So the first thing is, Black Stars, support Black Stars on Friday. The rates are very reduced. Come with your family. We're making sure that the environment will be conducive for families and friends to come and have an experience. On match day, and your match, you have some entertainment. It's a gradual process. But Oba Stadium, you should feel, say, you are in a good place, you are in a safe place to be entertained, to have something to eat, to drink. Every department and facet of a day out at the stadium, whether it's Accra Sports Stadium, Babayara, should be an experience for the fans. Mr. Ruby, Amumba support Black Stars and have a good experience.
That is your sports for now. We do have more sports stories on myjoyonline.com. Up next is Showbiz.
Hello there, good afternoon. You're welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline and Tumayabwa. To our story for today, it's nomination season, and while some are celebrating, others are asking, where is my song? Since the 2025 Telesel Ghana Music Awards nominees were announced, some music lovers have been scratching their heads over why King Paluta's hit song, Makoma, is nowhere to be found on the list. And King Paluta himself, he's not taking it lightly. The rapper has officially petitioned the TGMA for an explanation, demanding to know why his song didn't make the cut.
In 2024, Makoma was everywhere, from the airwaves to the streets, even making its way onto campaign platforms of a new patriotic party. The song, alongside his track, Asida, became an anthem of sorts, racking up massive online engagement and dominating playlists. With such impact, many fans expected it to get a nod at the TGMAs, but with his absence, questions are flying. Kimpaluta believes he deserved the spot and he's seeking answers. Whether the TGMA board will respond or reconsider remains to be seen.
I think people are interested in that.
Okay, so if this particular petition in question had come in earlier, I would have given an answer comfortably. Unfortunately, right now that is presented to the board, I won't be able to speak to it, and then allow the board to be able to make their submission to them. Yeah, so that's what the situation.
And the board not nominating too.
For now, it's a case of hit song, but no nomination. Will the petition change anything, or is this one of those industry shocks? For Joy News, I'm Jacqueline Ansuma Iboa.
On that note, is a wrap for the showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline Ansuma Iboa. Over to you, MFA Akosia Adeti.
I'm actually heartbroken that it didn't make it to the list though, Jackie.
I know, right? But there are other songs that were popular last year. Asaboni, Dope Nation. I
know this one. I know this one.
I know, right? You know, Fred Smith says that.
What's Fred Smith says?
Yeah, let me repeat what he said earlier. He said that so you see, make it this.
Oh my goodness. But thank you, Jackie. We definitely look for another entertainment story tomorrow. But quickly before I go, let me bring you this climate-focused story. In the OT region, regenerative agriculture is helping farmers adapt to unpredictable weather patterns while addressing key climate changes. This sustainable method restores soil health, boosts carbon sequestration, and protects biodiversity, making farms more resilient to climate change. Mahmoud Nuruddin visited Regenerative Farm for Climate Focus and reports that substantial amount of the usage of the farming practice has been restored.
Clement Matumasin has just arrived at one of the plantations. Clement, who pioneered the regenerative agricultural method in Zangomacheri, believes it helps smallholder farmers to increase yield while protecting the environment.
The space is called Dream Village, and Dream Village is just basically the hub to empower young people and also the community to become more resilient in terms of food production, entrepreneurship training, and also just basically enhancing the quality of life in the rural settings. This is one of our hubs, which is in Zongo Macheri. We are currently developing the next hub in Dambai. So basically that's Dream Village. It's a place where people find their dreams.
It was a dream in 2007 that became a reality 10 years later, and Clement has now produced a variety of crops and plants on his 100 acres of farmland to supply food while also regreening the earth.
Dream Village was basically born from me. I had once upon a time grew up on the street. Other people helped me to become who I am, and I realized that I also had to find a way to give back to society. And I wanted to do that through community, through storytelling, and through my sharing and interaction with several people. In 2007, I created a mural art, a visual interpretation of what I think an ideal village will look like.
That'll be all for today on News Today on Joy News. I am MFA Akosia Adeti. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. And we do appreciate your company. Jackie, let's go for lunch.